Philatites, or Phil for short, is a tough, rude, and crotchety old satyr. He has served as a trainer to a handful of Olympians in ancient Greece, but none more successful than his last hope, Hercules. Phil's animator is a legend in his own right, both as a director and an animator. But who brought this Olympian trainer to life? 4 words. Let's find out. Before we start, don't forget to check out our Patreon, our Discord, and of course, like and subscribe. Born May 1st, 1955, Eric Goldberg grew up in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, which is about an hour away from Bruce Springsteen's town of Freehold. Though, that's kind of a non sequitur, but you can't talk about New Jersey without mentioning Bruce, right? He was a natural and self-taught animator who trained under the great Richard Williams and received priceless advice from his veteran group of animators. Eventually, Eric found himself animating the genie at Disney, after which he received
an offer he can't refuse.
After Aladdin, they asked me kind of a loaded question because they said that there really wasn't anything left on Lion King for me that I would want. So do I want to co-direct Pocahontas with Mike Gabriel? So I said yes, and there were a lot of reasons I said yes, not the least of which, and in all seriousness, they asked me the week after the LA riots, and when Jim Pentecost, the producer, and Mike pitched the story to me, I thought, well, more than ever, there's a reason to make this movie. You're talking about people who can't get along. And I thought, yeah, I want to sign on for that. But I didn't know how serious they wanted to make the picture. Peter Schneider at the time said, well, it's a little more like Beauty and the Beast than Aladdin. But I had no idea how seriously they wanted to take it. I have to say at the outset, Pocahontas was a hard movie to make because finding the tone of the movie was very, very hard, especially since I had just come off Aladdin. I figured they wanted something that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Now, it's a serious subject, but I still think you can actually treat a serious subject with humor. Even if it's bigotry, you can still treat it with humor. So that really wasn't the direction the studio wanted to go in, it turns out. I didn't find out until I was in the middle of it. So tonally, finding the movie was very, very difficult. The way Mike and I divided up our duties, now some people like John and Ron divided it up by sequences. John would direct these sequences, and usually they were musical sequences that needed sharp timing and things like that, or comedy sequences. Ron would tend to do the ones that had more heart and sincerity and so on and so forth. But of course, there's tons of crossover, but that's the way they kind of broke it up. Mike and I broke it up by kind of artistic disciplines, So Mike handled layout and art direction and color, and I handled animation and cleanup and effects. And we did it that way. Now, of course, we conferred on everything.
In editorial? Was it mostly an editorial and Sweatbox?
Yes and no, because one thing that we had at the time was we did shoot a lot of live action reference when we made Pocahontas. Now, you guys both remember, it wasn't exactly your easy rotoscope. It was bad Xeroxes every 8 frames that were really blurry and sometimes not pegged up too well. And so, what you guys managed to glean from that was pretty interesting and pretty amazing because, really the guys, and particularly the people who had to animate the character of Pocahontas, really had to dig deep in there and find that subtle performance that we were looking for with the character, which again is its own challenge. It's as much of a challenge as making people laugh as it is to make people touched. If Aladdin was how far can we go, then Pocahontas was how minimal can we be.
Although Pocahontas was a difficult film for Eric, it allowed him to exercise his dramatic side, putting the silliness in the appropriate places and keeping the tension and suspense in others. For example, during the scene where Thomas shoots Kokoum, it used to be a bit longer with more timing between hearing John Smith remind him to shoot with both eyes open and shooting the gun. Instead, Eric decided to tighten the editing and have the gun go off right after John says the line.
Both eyes open.
This makes the scene more surprising, jarring, and subsequently more dramatic.
Thomas. Is he?
You killed him.
I have led a double life, okay? My secret shame is that I have a secret identity, and I was outed this year, so I figure I can talk about it now. During Pocahontas, Susan was working for Chuck Jones on some of the last cartoons that he made. And surreptitiously, she got some of us in under the table to work on them. She was art directing, she was heading up cleanup, and so I kind of helped out a little bit. And the associate producer, Steve Fossati, gave me a fake name, you know, so that Disney's wouldn't get wise I was doing this stuff. So the name he gave me was Claude Rains, as in the Invisible Man. But he spelled it R-A-Y-N-E-S. And for several years, Claude Rains had his own IMDb page. He did a lot of stuff. And anyway, I was outed this year, you know, on IMDb. Some wiseacre finally said, no, it's him as Claude Rains. And I was like, okay, fine.
Under this guise, he worked on 3 Looney Tunes shorts, Chariots of Fur, Superior Duck,
Superior Duck. More powerful
You're fired! I don't care if I am faster or stronger or leapier than anybody. I'm gonna do something simple, like saving the human race. Superior Duck, ride the can!
and From Hair to Eternity.
I'm cold little buttercup, dear little buttercup, though I could never tell why.
But still you're called Buttercup. Dear little Buttercup.
Sweet little buttercup pie.
Buttercup pie!
So much fun to do that stuff. And we got to know Chuck and Marion Jones pretty well. You know, Steve Fossati used to arrange for us to go over to their house with bagels and lox. And I could converse with Chuck, and it was great. He called Susan his guardian angel. And, you know, I would complain to him about things that were going on Pocahontas at the time, particularly executive interference and you know, stuff that was making my life miserable. And he looked me straight in the eye and he said, well, you know, they'll always hate you because you can draw and they can't. And I think of that phrase every day.
After Eric's sour experience with execs and directing, he decided to go back to animating.
There's no place like home.
Disney's upcoming film was Hercules, and Eric was initially assigned to animate Hades when Jack Nicholson was thought to play the character. We don't know why Nicholson turned down the role. Probably had Laker tickets. No, I'm just kidding. It was money. Nicholson reportedly turned down the offer due to his demand for a paycheck of $10 to $15 million, plus a 50% pay cut of all proceeds from Hades merchandise. Which, I mean, after The Lion King, could you blame the guy? Yes. So when Nicholson decided to pass on the role, Goldberg wasn't interested in animating the character anymore. Around the same time, Chris Buck was assigned to animate Philatides, but after he left the production of Hercules, this left the character without a supervising animator. Eric decided to instead animate Phil when Danny DeVito signed on to the role. Because who wouldn't want to do that?
Why do you both jump out there? Whoa. What the hell's everybody doing in my apartment?
So we'll start out by showing these are some of Gerald Scarf's original drawings of Phil, and they varied quite a bit. And at the same time, I was trying to do my versions as well. Now, earlier, Gerald Scarf was talking about Santa Barbara. We would all go and have a retreat in Santa Barbara where we would put up all of our drawings and we'd each do draw-overs. And Gerald Scarf was there. This is a John Musker draw-over over one of my drawings.
I was trying to make him look like Danny DeVito. I failed, but that's what I was trying to do.
And I started out doing Louis De Palma, okay? For those of you who remember Taxi. So my first versions of Phil were Louis De Palma with horns. And eventually, I started to branch out into other areas. You can see in the one on the right is actually starting to get towards what Phil looked like. And Scarf was starting to meet me in the middle as well. And eventually, we wound up with this guy. Now, a lot of people pointed out that there were certain similarities between me and Phil.
Really? Seriously? What were they talking about?
Well, you know, my joke at the time used to be, let's see, Phil is short, he's bald, he's overweight. I don't know why they gave me this character. Anyhow, this was actually a caricature that I did of myself and Andreas Deja in the style of Scarf. And this is Phil's first test. Often we will do, you know, test drives with the animation characters even before we're doing actual footage, just to put them through their paces. So this is Phil's first test, and the joke actually made it in the movie. This is our illustrious Phil animation crew. You can see in the middle, I'm sitting next to Danny DeVito.
Danny's the one with the glasses.
Danny's the one with the glasses, yes. Everybody kept trying to get photographs of the two of us together. Look, two short people. Anyway, and it was really interesting to watch Danny record. So when he was recording the vocals for his song, One Last Hope, the camera was fixed right on his face, and I saw something I had never seen before. He made a mouth shape like this, which I like to call the under-the-nose bow tie. I'd never seen it before, but he was doing it for S's and for TH's and CH's, and I thought, wow, that's weird. I'm gonna have to try and incorporate that into Phil's dialogue. So I did. So if you look at this next test here, take a look when Phil says, she's really something.
She's something. Isn't she, Phil?
Yeah, oh yeah. She's really something. A real pain in the patella. Earth to Herc. You know, come in, Herc. We got a job to do, remember?
So that's an instance of how we would glean something from the actors, and it winds its way into the animation.
So you wanna be a hero, kid? Well, whoop-de-doo. I have been around the block before with blockheads just like you. Each and every one a disappointment, pain, for which there ain't no ointment. So much for excuses. Though a kid is Zeus asking me to jump into the fray. My answer is 2 words. Okay.
You mean you'll do it?
You win.
You won't be sorry, Phil.
Oh, God.
So when do we start? Can we start now?
Eric Goldberg still works as a consultant at the studio and is in a very good position to influence upcoming Disney projects. His style is amazing, and his eye for cartoon humor is very unique. He is one of the last animators representing the old Warner Brothers style out there, and we're very glad he's putting that experience to use, improving Disney animation and keeping the style alive. You may even call him our one last hope.
You're my one last hope, and kid, it's up to you. Yeah!
Thank you to these people for your generous support, and a special thank you to John David. You guys are really helping keep this channel afloat. Thank you. Thank you for watching this episode of Discographies. Don't forget to check out our Patreon and Discord, and click the thumbs up button below if you liked the video. And if you want to be notified when the next episode comes out, subscribe and click the bell. Comment below with characters you would like to see us cover. Further reading and references are linked below. We hope to see you in another Discography.